So welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Muthoni Mukiri. I am a mindset coach and a media personality. So I met a lady this last week at an event, and she came and said hi to me. She was like, hey Muthoni. I was like, hi, and I complimented her on her voice. I was like, you have a really nice voice on the mic. So she said, kuliko yako, sauti yangu ndio poa kuliko yako. And at first I was like, okay. And I told her, no, first time I told we both have nice voices. Yeah. But then it was a compliment on mine. I was like, wow, she really has a really nice voice on the mic. She was talking on the mic and I really liked her voice. And I just wanted to compliment her. And then she was like, yangu ndio poa kuliko yako. You know, hiyo yako. And then so two things. Number one, the fact that I complimented her on her voice doesn't mean my voice is not as good. Doesn't mean because someone else has a nice body than yours or a bigger business that you have a lesser one. Yeah? So comparison robs us of that. Yeah? Number two, it was just a compliment. Someone is just complimenting you about how you look, how you're dressed, about your smile, about your hair. And the first thing that comes to mind is wanting to compete with them. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Like, hi, I really like your dress. You look so beautiful. Kukuliko. Why do we do these things? Yeah? And when you sit and think about it, we have this notion that because someone is doing better or someone has something that looks good, that automatically makes yours look bad. Or like it's either you or them. Yeah? Comparison never works because we're always striving to be something we probably will never be. We're always striving to be maybe in that other person's life or in trying to be someone we will never be. But when we stop comparing, we can be able to look at who we really are as a person and how you can improve where you are at to get you where you want to be. How you can be the best at what you're doing. Yeah? How you can, instead of comparing another person told me, she's actually doing therapy. She has a degree in psychology. So she's a therapist and all that. So, and then I met her somewhere and she was like, oh, Muthoni, I want you to teach me how you do your coaching. You know, I have a degree in psychology, but I really admire what you're doing and I really what. I was very impressed and I was happy she gave me that compliment. And I felt honored, but deep down I'm thinking, oh, I want a degree in psychology so bad, yeah, just as a human being. And then I caught myself and I was like, Muthoni, stop that. It's okay. She just admired what I do. Doesn't mean her degree in psychology is not important, yeah. And this is what you do when you start to work on yourself. I tell this to all my coaching clients. You are able to catch yourself. That time when you start doubting yourself, when you start competing with other women, when you start comparing yourself, you are able to catch yourself like Muthoni. She just complimented you on your coaching. It doesn't mean her degree is less or is not as important because she's complimented you in your coaching. Yeah. So the fact that someone else is doing well in their life, in their journey, doesn't mean you're not doing well in your life, in your journey. Yeah. And what comparison does, it makes us feel like we'd rather be someone else, like we'd rather be somewhere else, we'd rather do something different. It robs us of the opportunity to be grateful for what we have, to really sit in the moment and accept things for the way they are in our lives. And a lot of people have lost track in their lives because you compare yourself so much and you want to do what everybody else is doing. Some years back, not even a long time ago, there was this outbreak where people were selling quail's eggs. Mayaya quail, everybody was selling quail's eggs. And the reason a lot of businesses failed in that is because you see someone else doing something, you think what you're doing is not as important, so you take all your money, you pour it into this, you pour it into this. Healthy competition is good, but it becomes a problem if you abandon your path and maybe your calling and what you're really good at to try to do what you think someone else is doing better than you. Probably they are gifted better in whatever they are doing. I'm not saying not to try different things. I'm just saying let the reasons you're going to try that be because you feel you can really do it, or because you feel a need to do it, but not so that you can do better than that person, not so that you can go there and even make more money than them. Let it come from inside. Yeah. And if we're human beings and sometimes we feel the need to compare. If we are gonna compare, then let's compare in a way that's helping us. So because we're used to looking at what everybody has, oh, you have such a nice car, oh, you have such a chubby baby, oh, you have such a what, but then it's easy to forget what we have that's working for us. So if you're gonna compare, then look at what they don't have that you have. Since we're comparing and since we're human beings, and sometimes you find yourself in that side, like on heading that side, and sometimes you find yourself heading that direction where you want to compare your goals and your assets and all that. Also look at, you know what, I might feel like I'm dragging behind, but hey, I have a running business. Yeah, I might feel like, you know, they have that beautiful job at wherever, but I'm also doing my little thing here. Also look at what you have that they don't have. We forget also to look at that. So if you're always comparing yourself, we compare ourselves and with other people, and then we start competing with them in their life, in their lane, in their whatever, and then we end up feeling like we're not doing enough, like this is not where I should be. You know, Muthoni, everybody else has left me behind, everybody else is married, everybody else has children. That is their journey, that is their life. You have your journey and your life. And the best way, we say the best competition, you are your own competition. And the best way to compete is to compete with yourself. Like, what were you doing last year? Where were you doing in terms of business, in terms of making money, in terms of a family, where are you at today? Where were you last year? Where were you 5 years ago? Where were you 10 years ago? And how are you doing today? That is how you improve yourself. That is who your competition is, the person you were yesterday. I don't want to be in the same spot I was last year. And I know I am not in the same spot, because I constantly look at, okay, where was I August last year? What was I doing? What was I up to in terms of my finances, family-wise, in terms of even my personal development as Muthoni? How am I working on myself? How is that journey going? Have I made any significant steps? If you have not made any steps, then you're able to look at why you've not done that, the lessons that you need to learn to help you. If you need to re-strategize, if you need to start over, when you compete with people out here, you lose track. You end up doing everything that everybody is doing, whereas you could just have focused on your path and poured your all and be consistent and look forward, yeah, and face forward. So if you always feel like you're not measuring up, so according to who? Like, you're not measuring up. So if you always feel like you're not measuring up, like you don't measure up, you don't get, like you're not on that level, as compared to who? Who are you comparing yourself to? If it's who you were a month ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years, 3 years ago, that's okay. But if you always feel like I don't measure up, like who? Who's measuring up? Who are you measuring yourself against? That's the question. I have a lot of people who compete so much, and that's why even on social media there's a lot of bile and a lot of hatred. If you see someone who's very happy in their business, if you see someone who's very happy in their relationship, the first thing you see, when you see them, you just can't wait for them to break up. It's because you feel, because they're happy, like you're competing, like they've taken your happiness, yeah, or like you can't be happy that both of you at the same time. And this is what I say, jealousy is normal. It's a normal human emotion, but instead of letting it consume you so much such that you become so consumed and so obsessed with that other person, you just can't wait for them to fail, how about you let it inspire you? How about the people you see that are doing so well? How about you learn, you look at how they carry themselves, what they're doing on their social media, how they carry their business, what they talk about. How about you let that person inspire you? And I said the best way to even learn how to respect yourself, self-respect, is becoming someone you respect. And you do that by looking even at people you admire, people you look up to. How do they carry themselves? How do they behave? How do they talk? How do they do their stuff? How confident are they? How organized are they? Do they keep time? What are their mantras? Who are their mentors? And then let them inspire you. There is enough space for all of us to be happy, for all of us to be successful. It doesn't mean because someone is successful, they've taken your success away. You can be successful at the same time, the two of you. Yeah. So if you feel less than, if you always feel like you're not measuring up, as who are you measuring yourself against? Stop comparing yourself. And if you're gonna compare, there's something good always something good about you. If you're gonna compare, then look at what is it you have that they don't have, since you really want to compare. But the best way is to compare yourself, compete with yourself, the person you were last year, the person you are trying to grow from. Yeah, how you're trying to improve. Are you making any steps? If not, what do you need to do? If you have, for example, you're doing makeup business, the fact that someone else is doing their business looks like it's up there and they're making millions and they're doing that, doesn't mean they've taken the millions you would be making. There's enough space for all of us to be successful. There's enough space for all of us as women to celebrate one another. I get a lot of, another lady was telling me, I saw some ladies were hating on you on social media. Why do ladies hate on you? And I remember telling her, you can look at it like women are hating on me, but I can tell you women have been my biggest supporters, my biggest cheerleaders. I am a coach for women. By there, I specialize on women, in women issues, and women are my clients. And sometimes I'm fully booked. Yeah? So it's how you look at it. And I said the other day in my stories, I said the person who said that women are their worst enemies must be a man. There's enough space for all of us to be happy at the same time. The fact that someone is doing better than you doesn't mean they've taken your chance to be happier. Yeah, you just have to look at your own path and stop looking at what everybody else is doing. Look at how you've improved, how you've grown, and also how you can grow. Compete with yourself. People are running their own journeys out here, and when you compare who you are, your weaknesses, your negatives, your strengths, like even your body issues, and you compare that to someone who's always only showing you their good side, when you know all your flaws and all that, it's so unfair. Like, it's unfair to you to compare your all and your weaknesses to someone who's just showing you their best. Another thing, people don't talk about their failures. We know that, and I've said that before. When I'm coming here and I'm driving a nice car or I'm looking nice, I'm not telling you how much. Maybe I have loans. Maybe I'm bankrupt. Maybe I was auctioned. Maybe I'm not sleeping at night. Maybe I do very weird things to make money. Yeah? People don't talk about their lives like that. People don't talk about their failures. Stop comparing yourself. Compete with yourself. Stop competing with strangers. That time that you're spending competing with them, spend it getting inspired by them. How do they do it? And if this person can do it, so can you. There is enough space for all of us to be successful. Doesn't mean it's not a seesaw. Like, if they're up here, then you must be down here, or they've taken, or their failure becomes your happiness. It's absurd if you think about it. So I really wanted to say that here, because I get that a lot in my sessions or even in my DM. I feel so left behind, especially this thing of marriage. Please take your time. Ask yourself, if you want to get married and you want a happy relationship and happy marriage, what are you doing about it? Are you still chatting with married men left, right, and center? Are you still hung up on your exes? Are you still rushing to get into relationships after 1 week and moving in with men after 2-3 weeks of meeting them? What are you doing? Are you coming for coaching? Are you watching podcasts about relationships? Are you reading books? How are you carrying yourself? The question is not usually about time, because we rush to time. The question is, what are you doing about that thing that you want? Time is not a problem, and don't worry about time. You'll never stop it and you'll never rush it. It just is. But you can work on yourself to achieve that thing you want in the time that you want. You can. Anyway, bye guys. My bootcamp is starting in a few days, by the way, in like 3 days. Today is Friday, so in 3 days. So you have 2 days to book. It's healing the inner child and dealing with childhood trauma. I have said this is the most important boot camp I will ever do, because a lot of our adulthood issues start from our childhood. That neglect, that abandonment you went through, that abuse, seeing your mother get beat up, seeing your alcoholic father come and verbally abuse you, all those things, they affect us in our adulthood. And especially if you have troubled relationships, love relationships, because the first person, especially the first person who teaches you how to be in a relationship, and the first relationship you have with a man is usually with your dad. If you have a non-existent relationship, an abusive relationship, or a relationship that is not there, that's emotionally, that he probably is emotionally unavailable, it affects you in your love relationships. We say, if you do not address your childhood trauma, your romantic relationships will. And let me tell you, a lot of you have a lot of issues that you talk about and that you have, but probably the only issue you have is that you've not healed your childhood trauma. Start by healing that trauma. It's the beginning. That is where the trouble started. If you can be able to heal that child and reparent that child and work on that child, you would be surprised about the outcome. I can tell you like that because it has happened to me and some of my clients who come and we deal with their trauma, and the other issues disappear, even their relationships issues. Anyway, I'll leave the poster here. Reach out. Yes, I'm still doing coaching. You can also book one of my packages. I leave my phone number here and my email address. Bye.